Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Amasid and today we are going to go over some of my early league Atlas farming strategies to make currency early in a league. Now some of these strategies will hold out throughout the league. You can do these all league, but they do have a particular value early in the league. Now I will caveat this and say this is not the only way to do this. This is just a way I like to do this. There are tons of ways to make money in this game and this is just simply a selection of them. And I will also note that if you don't think that this is fun, like for example, if I say Breach is insane, which it is, which I'll get into, then you don't have to do Breach. You don't have to like it. You don't have to do it. Don't waste your time if you're not having fun. It's always the most important thing is to do this long term over a long period of time to make the most money. And if you're not enjoying it, then what's the point, right? So you have to play to do this, right? You have to actually go into maps and play quite a bit. So if you don't like Breach, and I suggest Breach, don't do Breach, you know what I'm saying? Simple as that. So let's start up with Haewark Hamlet, and I will provide a sheet that has all of these laid out in terms of my thoughts, my priorities, just in a very succinct way so you can all view them. But I will walk through them now. So Haewark Hamlet is juicy, so juicy. Now, the general trend here is that early in a league, you want to get as deep into maps as you possibly can get. Meaning you want to get to as high of tiers as you possibly can. That increases the value, right? And you also want to get as many watchstones as you possibly can. Those go hand in hand, right? So you want to be stacking watchstones where you can. But also, the other important thing is you also want to be getting Maven Atlas passive points, right? Because that gives you the most benefit from any given zone. So that is the goal early in the league. And as well, converting currency, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So my priorities here are quite simple. I'm going to start immediately going into Essence. Essence, again, this strategy with Essences is you're farming a lot of high tier Essences as quickly as you can, right? Early in maps, you're going to get a lot of kind of like lower quality Essences, but the higher into maps you get, the higher the essence quality becomes, and getting a guaranteed tier up is very valuable. Now, you have to want to say, okay, after a long day of mapping, I'm just going to sit in my hideout for 20-30 minutes and sell essences. You have to want to do that, right? So if you don't want to do that, then this maybe is not for you. It's not going to give you pure raw currency. It's going to give you essences. So that has value. But on that note, a secondary thing in terms of sort of my second priority would be Metamorph. Now, I don't hear too many people talking about this, but do not sleep on Metamorph. Metamorph is hard. Those rogue metamorphs hit hard. Normal metamorphs hit really hard. They have a lot of health, and if you don't have a strong enough build to take them down, you can't do this, right? It's just not going to work. But metamorph drops a lot of stuff, and getting extra currency and extra metamorphs has huge value. Now, again, it's one of those situations you have to be prepared to sort of have your inbox, or your whispers rather, inundated for 20 minutes while you're trying to sell these kind of random cheap currencies like, you know, catalysts and random other things that drop from a metamorph, right? I think that it has a lot of value. You can get a lot of currency doing that, but you just have to be willing to do that, right? So there's value in that. So those are my priorities there. Seance is not bad. It has value. It's been nerfed quite a bit. If you like Harvest, do Harvest. If you like, you know, if you want to do June, do June. But in my view, Metamorph, or rather Essence followed by Metamorph, is the way to go, and that's what I'm planning to do for this league start to make as much currency as I can. Moving on to Valdo's. So Valdo's is a bit different. The main thing here is I'm going to start off with Blight. Now, Delirium has a huge amount of value. You can get a lot of stuff with Delirium, but Delirium early is kind of hard, right? It's kind of hard to get a lot of value out of Delirium early. So I'm starting with Blight before I potentially move into Delirium. Now, in terms of which nodes I'm going to do, I am probably going to do this main one here. Obviously, you have no choice. And then up to Greater Forces, perhaps. I'm sorry. Yeah. Persecuted Delusion, then up to Greater Forces, right? So then after that, you're going to have no points left if you kept Blight, but if you want to move fully in Delirium, if you can, then maybe take the Harbingers. That's not bad. Strongbox is not too bad, but I'm personally going to go with Blight into Delirium secondary, just as I get a little bit stronger and I can actually really handle Delirium, because I feel pretty comfortable selling or handling Blights. And Blights are nice because they do drop a lot of raw currency, as well as they drop oils. So if you want to sit and kind of group your Metamorph collection of items and sell them, you can also sell oils, which have more value. Now, in terms of the currency thing that I want to note here, combining sort of this essence selling and these metamorph drops and these blight oils, should you choose to sell them, or just selling items in general, right, is that early on in the league you want to convert chaos or anything to chaos and then chaos to exiles as quickly as you can. Now, I was trying to find a good chart, but the PoE Ninja has kind of archived the expedition page, but the value of an exile is much cheaper compared to chaos than it will ever be later in the league. There's exceptions to this, like things in Heist, but that's not really that's no point in that. So an Exalt, in the first few days is going to cost, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 C. It's going to go up and up and up. And then it's going to, it'll hit a peak at some point, like weeks in, but it's going to be much, much higher than it will ever be at the start of the league. So the general idea is to convert Chaos to Exalts as much as you possibly can. Sell the stuff that's only worth a couple Chaos and then convert to Exalts. Just doing that. You have to play a lot. You have to get a lot of currency. You have to do it. But these are strategies to do that. So that is the approach here. You want to convert your Chaos to Exalts as much as you can. And if you're even willing to go that further step, convert those other random loose currencies, Fusings, Jewelers, etc. to Chaos, and then Chaos to Exalts. That's how you grow value over time, is that you can buy Exalts much, much cheaper with Chaos than you ever can later in the league. So that's part of the strategy as well. Now, so Valdo's is covered. Moving on to Glennach Cairns. So Glennach Cairns, the strategy that I'm going to be going with is going to be Legion. Because the nice thing about Legion is, while you won't be able to pop every single Legion mob in the beginning, you can be helped with this protracted battle here. So protracted battle is it's just the lines are throwing me off here. I was like, that is protracted battle. So protracted battle will help you with that. So if you want to clear more, you can hit that node for sure early on. Later on, it has less value, although the duration is helpful because sometimes it just takes time to find Legion mobs. So that's a really good way to make money early. Legion is on the Atlas, although it's a little bit later in the Atlas progression. So there's a lot of value in that. But also, these Rogue Exiles are fantastic. So if you see here, we've got Total Anarchy gives you 20 additional Rogue Exiles. Now, I would note these are not necessarily pushover mobs. They do require a little bit of damage. But then you also get Rogue Trader, which is wild Rogue Exiles in areas have 50% chance to have additional rewards. Now, this is a really good way to farm stuff, just randomly mapping. I would not say that Glennach is the go-to for, I would say, early league money making, but it is an option. If you really like a map in Glennach, go for it. Whatever you think is fun. But the strategy I would go with is Legion first, then Rogue Exiles. I did that last league and it worked out quite well. Now Legion is not quite as nice as before because you don't have the timeless emblems, so we'll have to kind of see how that plays out. But it should still be quite strong just because Legion in general is quite strong. Plus you can roll Watchstones later, right? That give you those options to drop those. So Lira Arthain. Lira Arthain is kind of the easiest. I'm sure hundreds of other content creators are saying this, but Breach is where it's at for Lira Arthain, followed by Invasion, in my opinion. You could also start Invasion and then go to Breach if you want to, but Breach is really, really good. You do need quite a bit of damage to handle these breaches as well, so you're going to need to kind of ease into this. If you find you're having trouble, start with Invasion. Invasion should be all right, but Breach should be good as a league start money-making strategy, no problem. Within the first few days, you should be more than strong enough to take on all breaches of all kinds and breach bosses. So looking at Breach here, Breach, you just are going to want to pick up every single Breach node available. So you have Flash Breach, which gives more density, so it's more drops. It goes faster because otherwise Breach can be painfully slow. And it has area of effect, so that's really, really nice. It's going to cover a much larger space. Now, looking at within their grass, that's going to give you the Breach Stones. So that's really where you're going to make a lot of money, dropping pure Breach Stones. That's a huge money maker. I mean, those throughout the league are worth a lot of money. Gatekeepers is obviously necessary to get to anything, so you have to get Gatekeepers, but it's really good. Now, Invasion is really, really strong as well because Invasion bosses can drop if you want to hit this exotic goods node for sure, because Invasion can drop. I've gotten tons of 6-links from Invasions. They'll just drop randomly good things. Now, obviously, sometimes Path of X and I disagree about what is good and what is valuable in terms of the word valuable. But generally speaking, I've had quite good drops from Invasion, and I would recommend it wholeheartedly. If you really like Heist, for example, though, and you want to run Heist, get Heist. But personally, I'm going to be going with Breach followed by Invasion. Now, looking at Uncharted Realms, I'm not going to spend too much time going into this just because early league Uncharted Realms is not exactly accessible to most people. Frankly, I don't even touch Uncharted Realms until probably later than I should. But nodes of relevance here. So Enduring Influence is really, really good. So Sexton Modifiers have one additional use. That has a lot of value because, frankly, Sextants can be expensive. That's a flat cost in every single map you run if you're using Sextants. So getting that one additional use adds up pretty obviously, right? Every 3 Sextants, it's an additional Sextant you're basically saving. So that's really nice. Now, things I like to go for, I don't focus bossing necessarily every league, but I do want to boss casually, right? So I do want to kind of, every time I'm mapping, I'm working towards a Conqueror to then do Cyrus to then reset. That's what I'm always doing. That's my strategy every time. So within that, I will take things like Adept Tracker and Atlas Awaken. You definitely want that. Now, if you want to really farm Cyrus and you do want to do this, I would hit Thaumaturgical Awakening because they did buff Awaken Gems. After that, you have a little bit more flexibility here. You could take the extra Master Mission. That's really nice. I really like that. I'll take that node for sure. And then maybe something if you want to go down the Zonetry instead, that's also an option. But I'm going to focus here on Sextant use into Adept Tracker, followed by all those Cyrus nodes. So that's what I'm going to go with personally. Now, again, there's a lot of other strategies out here. I'm not saying this is the only one. I'm not even saying this is the #1 strategy. This is just a strategy that I'm going to be using, and I've had great success with a lot of these Atlas passes before. There's not huge changes here, right? It's not that different league over league. So what are you guys doing? Are you guys excited? I'm super excited. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.